and welcome back to my late life lesbian journey. On my channel, I discuss and share just my life and my journey and my process of going from being married to a man, getting divorced, and coming out as a lesbian. So if you would like to follow my journey, please subscribe. And for those of you who have already subscribed, thank you and welcome back. In this video, I want to talk and share sort of some signs that I missed growing up and when I was younger that I was gay, that I've kind of realized now, like looking back on. So it's kind of interesting, if you follow my journey and you've heard my story or anything like that, I've definitely had the question of like, how did you not really realize you were gay when you were younger? Were there like signs? And now being where I'm at in my life, I can look back and say like, yes, to me personally, I believe that there were signs and that they were just missed and I just didn't like realize what they were. So I thought I would share some of that with you guys. I don't know, just because it's kind of fascinating, and maybe for those of you who are kind of going through some of this, it might be something that you kind of look back on and realize for yourself. So for me, looking back when I was a little kid, probably even like 5 or 6, like kindergarten, first grade level, I don't know, like pretty young. I remember going to church because I was raised very Catholic and we went to church every Sunday and all of that. And there was an older girl there that I would occasionally see. And I just remember at this point, I guess I would describe it almost as like infatuation. Like I just wanted to see her. I wanted to look at her. Like I would hope like every time I went to church that she would be there. And I would just like want to stare at her. And even as a kid, I just sort of thought it was like idolizing her, looking up to her. She was just this older girl kind of a thing. But now looking back, I think like that was a total crush. I totally had a crush on this girl. So that was one thing. I was talking to a friend and kind of had another realization that even when I was, I don't know, like middle school, like age or so, had like some family friends, and I remember like we would hang out with them every once in a while, and they had a daughter who was, I think, a few years older than me. And it suddenly hit me that I always like was drawn to this girl, and again thinking like that was a crush. Like I had a crush on her. And I used to always think that it was just sort of like, oh, like an older pretty girl or something like that I just sort of like admired. But yes, now looking back, I totally think it was, something more that I just didn't even realize what it was. Other things, people could argue this either way, because sometimes people can just be a tomboy yet still be totally straight and all of that. But I was totally a tomboy growing up. And I even remember going through a period where I wanted to like dress like a boy and cut my hair off like a boy. And I was just always drawn to sort of more of that like masculine boyish energy for myself even. I don't want to do that now. Like I don't want to dress like a boy. I don't want to cut my hair off. Like I've embraced my feminine qualities and I like being me for me. But as a kid and growing up, like I totally had this desire and this want to, I guess, be more boyish because I just felt more comfortable in that role. I don't know, which to me also says like part of being a lesbian in that like I do enjoy taking care of a girl. Like even though I'm a girl, like I enjoy sometimes playing that stereotypical like masculine role, like opening a door and bringing flowers and cooking dinner and, I don't know, like just sort of I enjoy kind of that role and process. So I don't know, like looking back for me, I think that like maybe I just related to that and it was again another sort of sign. Other things, I've talked about this in other videos, but even as I got older, puberty, like having boy crushes and all of that, like I totally had that, but I would also have dreams and be very interested in, some of even like my girlfriends, just drawn to them. I would have dreams about kissing them, making out with them. And I would wake up and just be like, oh my gosh, like, why did I dream that? And I would rationalize it in my head as like, it just must be something because like I really care about them and like we're close. So subconsciously, it just must be my way of like showing them affection and that I care for them. So I would rationalize it in that way. But again, kind of realizing my sexuality and all of that now, looking back, I'm like, yeah, that was probably just kind of there all along. And I just didn't really know what it was. This is another one that I don't know, like maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But for some reason, I was always like nervous and self-conscious, like in women locker rooms and changing in front of my friends and stuff. Like I remember having friends that would just like get naked and change in front of you and just not think it was a big deal. And I remember being so nervous and like self-conscious about that. Like my closest friends and stuff, like, I don't know, like at this point, not anymore, but it's different place in life. But as I was younger, I do remember thinking like, what are these girls doing? Like, why are they just getting undressed in front of each other and being like very just nervous about all of that? And again, I don't know, maybe it's just personality, but sort of looking back, I'm like, well, maybe it was because, again, I was just like more attracted to her, more drawn to, you know, I don't know, like I'm not really sure. So, but yeah, those are things that I thought I would share. It's just been kind of interesting for me to think back on growing up because, again, like I said, you know, it's something that I just didn't really realize, I didn't acknowledge, I just didn't know. So I would always sort of rationalize these things that happened, but sort of where I'm at now, looking back, I'm like, like I think that those were probably signs and indicators that I just never realized. So anyways, I hope it's entertaining for you. Maybe if you're going through this, like you can kind of look back and see some of those things for yourself. Let me know in the comments, are there any like signs or things that you feel you missed growing up? I'd love to hear from you. You can also reach out to me on Instagram at ecbettis. And as I said, if you want to follow my journey, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys again soon in another video. Thanks.